I'm now going to cross to our international news editor, Sophie Mokoena, who is on the floor for us at the Rock Center. Over to you, Sophie.
Well, indeed, thank you, Unachi. We are coming live from the Results Center here. With me, I have observers, international observers, just ahead of the press conference that is expected to start any minute now. But let's have this conversation with a team of observers. They are from Uganda. We saw observers from Russia. We saw observers from Venezuela and many other countries. But let me have this conversation with a member of the Electoral Commission of Uganda. Good afternoon, sir. Why was it important for Uganda to come and observe these elections as the Electoral Commission of Uganda?
Well, we have a history of cooperation as election management bodies, the Electoral Commission in Uganda and then the Independent Electoral Commission of South Africa. And within the network of African election authorities, we've been sharing experiences, learning from each other, and there's been a lot of progress with the use of technology and addressing issues that come up during elections, which the South Africa Electoral Commission, where we've seen a lot of progress. So we're here to continue the learning process and experience sharing, also as we prepare for our elections, which are coming up in 2026. And that's why we're here.
Have you started in terms of preparations for 2026 as the electoral body of Uganda?
We already rolled out the roadmap for the 2026 general election, so we are already implementing some of the preparatory activities. And one of them, of course, is how to increase the use of adopting technology, as well as addressing and growing our multi-party system, which is also fairly new. So we are learning from each other, and as we implement the process for Uganda, we're also coming in to benchmark good practices in sister election management bodies.
The criticism in relation to electoral bodies on the continent is that when there's a dispute, sometimes there are political interference. In terms of Uganda, how do you ensure that all parties are treated fairly and the process is transparent?
Well, like we always say, elections are a work in progress. With every electoral process, we identify what issues emerged, including issues relating to conflicts and complaints management and electoral petition and all the grievances of stakeholders. So we've seen guidelines coming up and amending laws to come up and address emerging issues. So I think these are things that we are addressing, areas that we are addressing, and also learning from other EMBs and in other countries, like now we're here. So we've seen elections now becoming part of our governance and democratization processes, and actually a culture where we now know that this is how we're going to change leadership. So there has been growth in those areas, but the challenges remain, and we address them as we progress with organizing and conducting elections regularly.
The issue of technology is quite important. Most countries, it's still manual, while developing countries, they are using electronic system. Why the delay on the continent? Is it an issue of trust?
There are several issues, but I think mostly infrastructure. And also we have to, there are places where, for example, you may not be able to access networks. And so there's need to move progressively. We've been moving progressively. And I know that some countries have been there's been coverage, for example, the entire country is probably covered. But besides infrastructure, there is also a mindset change where we have to do a lot of civic education to ensure that stakeholders appreciate that technology can actually deliver or help or drive delivery of credible elections. So it's a journey also, but I think we cannot avoid it, and that's why we're moving cautiously but deliberately, and we've progressed as Uganda, and we see that South Africa has also taken quite very giant strides in that area, and we are learning from our peers here in South Africa.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time. That was a member of the Electoral Commission from Uganda. As I pointed out, we have observers, international observers. The AU is led by the former president of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta. You have another electoral mission that is headed by the former president of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan. We saw the SADC electoral observation mission launching their activities in the country. We are hoping that we'll be able to speak to former President Kenyatta, we'll be able to speak to former President Goodluck Jonathan and others who are here, as I pointed out. You have many, many countries. There's huge interest in this election, including international community, particularly the investors. Back to you, Unathi.
Thank you so much, Sophie Mokoena, there for us. We are still in conversation with our political analyst, Dr. Stebile Mbete, who is joining us here in the studio. Thank you so much, Dr. Mbete. So just talking on, what the conversation that Sophie was having now with observers, how important is it then, especially for the IEC, as it prepares for this election, which we know is a crucial election, for observers then to be in this country at this particular time?
It's hugely important. Election management is a very difficult, quite precise science, and election management bodies, as the gentleman was saying.